I'm Karen Duncan, and I moved here in 2018 to Panama with my husband Mitchell from the Austin, Texas area, Pflugerville, Texas. Originally from Chicago. I went to Texas to go to college, and I never went back home.
Which college?
We've been here since 2018, so 6 years.
All right. Tell me about Karen Duncan in the United States. Who was Karen and what did you do?
So Karen Duncan in the United States. I've been in sales all of my life in one way or another. I owned an Allstate agency for a while. Didn't like the insurance industry, so I opened my own travel business, Peaks Cruises and Tours, and did that off and on, full-time, part-time for 26 years until moving to Panama, until COVID actually. But I worked for Austin Community College. I was an adjunct professor in travel and tourism. I have a master's degree, believe it or not, in recreation, sports, and tourism management.
Nice.
I play for a living.
Nice. Yes, you went to school expert.
I went to school to learn to play and enjoy your life. That's why I know how to live my best life.
Nice.
Yes,
I love it. I love it. You were certified.
I am certified. I did, but so I spent a lot of time networking and working in the travel industry and trying to get people to explore different parts of the world. So we had never been to Panama when we moved here. We came sight unseen. But in doing research, when my husband decided he was ready to retire, and we couldn't afford to retire through divorces and layoffs and all the other stuff that we go through in the United States, we would have needed to work longer. We started investigating the best places to retire in the world, because we knew it wasn't going to be the United States. And Panama checked all the boxes. It was showing up in the top 5 of any of the surveys for moving outside of the country, being an expat, healthcare, cost of living, safety, security. They use the US dollar. I wanted to live by the beach, so being able to live by the beach was it. And so it was within 3 hours of the United States to fly back and forth. So if I ever needed to get home in an emergency, it wouldn't take me 24 hours to do so. So that's why we came to Panama.
The singing. When did the singing come into being? Is that something that you did professionally in the States?
No.
That's something you found here?
I didn't start singing till I got to Panama.
Really?
A year after I got to Panama, to be honest. So, singing was something as a child I enjoyed doing, and I was an only child, and when my parents were gone, I spent hours in the den with my dad's high-tech equipment, listening to albums of Diana Ross and Nancy Wilson and all the greats of that time. And I would sing. But that wasn't encouraged, for me to do that as a living. And so I didn't have the confidence nor the support in order to become a professional singer. So, of course, I sang in some church choirs. I did sing in some church choirs. I went through periods of going to church on a regular basis and singing in choirs. But and I would sing on vacation. If there was a karaoke or a guest staff entertainment type of thing, I would always get in that. But because I figured if nobody liked me, then I'd never see those people again. So I could do it. And that's what I did. So when I got to Panama, I went to see a friend's husband who was playing, Jim Votal, out in the beaches area.
Yes.
And he was performing, and I went up to his wife and said, if they ever need a backup singer, let me know. Tell them to let me know. I was really kind of kidding, to be honest. And he called me on stage that night. And he did that a couple times when I showed up at his gigs. And finally he said, you need to start coming to rehearsal. So I sang with them back up for about a year, I believe. And then the bass player and I separated from the group and started our own thing called Duo, D-U-H-O. It's a play on our last names, Duncan and Hofschild. He's a professional musician out of Germany. Sound guy. Amazing musician. And I say he mentored me. he gave me the confidence, and he taught me what I was capable of. And so we sang in the beaches area as a duo. We created our own tracks. He played all the instruments on all the tracks, and we would recreate covers. I do the backup vocals and lead vocals, and so we did that and we recorded our first EP in 2020 called Panama Paradise. I don't know if you've heard it. It's out there on all the music apps, Apple Music, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. And then we recorded our second EP 2023 called Wolf Moon or Luna de Lobo, and in 2023. So we've got 2 EPs out there. And then he decided to leave and go to Thailand all of a sudden last year.
Oh no.
It was kind of like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, so he left, went to Thailand. And so then I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Because he literally groomed me and taught me what I needed to know, but it was because of him. And so I felt, kind of naked out there by myself. And I got asked to be a performer for the performers. It was a special event for the staff at Emotions Dinner Theater. They were going to have a picnic, and I was a surprise guest for the owner to perform. And I didn't want to do it because I was afraid. And I asked for crazy money, and they said yes. So then I had to do it, and I show up, and I do a 1-hour gig, and the owner is like, I can't believe we don't know who you are, and I don't know if I can afford you, but if we can do a residency, I want to have you out at the theater.
Absolutely amazing.
So that was January of this year.
Wow.
And I've been at Emotions Dinner Theater now since March.
That is absolutely incredible. So no professional background in the States whatsoever.
None.
You moved to Panama sight unseen.
Right.
First caveat.
Yeah.
And then in a short period, you got here in 2016?
18.
So in a very short period of time, you have established yourself as a headlining in residency.
I'm an international recording artist. And the really funny thing about this is, I meditate. I'm a meditator, and I teach meditation. I'm a Chopra certified meditation instructor, and I've learned about manifesting your life and asking the universe for what you want. And so when I began to recognize that things can happen the way you want them to, and you can overcome adversity and things, I did write down at some point that I would like to become an international artist, singing artist. I didn't say recording, but I would like to be. And I look back at those things now, and it's like, well, okay, that's happened, that's done, that's done, that's done. And so I now know that I have to be careful what I ask for, because the universe will give it to you, good or bad. so here I am. Yeah.
Good or bad. So
yeah.
Be careful when you complain, right? Because
if you keep saying I don't want, then you're going to get that I don't want all the time, as opposed to this is what I would like. You need to be in the positive all the time. Oh my God, we laugh because Mitchell and I have traveled the world, and we like each other a lot. We get along very well, and so to us, life is an adventure as long as we're together. And so that was kind of our attitude. We'll go to Panama. If something crazy happens, we don't like it, then we'll find someplace else and go someplace else. So we're on the plane. We've done our tour through the United States to say bye to all the family and everybody with our 7 suitcases or how many we had. And we're on the plane headed to Panama, and we look at each other and go, what the hell have we done? Are you ready for this? And it was like, I don't know. We don't even know what to expect, right? So we spend the first night in Panama City. Panama City is like Miami. Mm-hmm. So, you get here and you're like, hey, this kind of works. This is really all right. This is a city. I can do this. And our driver, Johanny from Services Coronado, came and picked us up. And she was the first person we met. and she takes us out to Coronado Bay and the Coronado Beaches area because we wanted to live by the beach. And we were like, okay, it's a little bit rural. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as tropical, Cancun-ish, Jamaica-ish as some of the other places that we've been. It's not. And so that was a little bit of an adjustment. And my husband's into gardening, plants and things. And so he kept looking at the hardwood trees versus the tropical trees, the palm trees and things. He's like, it's a lot more hardwood trees than I would have expected. You know, we've got all these different plants and stuff. That's what he kept looking at. And it was a little bit different. It was a little more rustic-ish, I guess is what I can say when we first got here. But it's simple. And I think that's what keeps us here is the fact that you go back to the basics in life, especially out there in the beaches area. Here in the city is a city, so there's a lot more opportunity. But in the beaches area, you don't have any stoplights, no stop signs. There's not really any fast foods. Even the fast food places, like we have a McDonald's and a KFC, they're not fast. They're just convenient. Right, but it's not fast food. So you learn to overcome and adapt with things that you're accustomed to having. And he struggled a little more than I did because he's used to having things at his disposal, you know. It's the right now generation, or, you know, the microwave generation is what I call it. So you're used to things being able to happen right at that particular moment. And then there's the language barrier. So even if I could call Pizza Hut to come deliver pizza, I can't talk to them. So
What do you say?
Yeah, so, you know, it took me 4 years to go through the drive-through at KFC because I wasn't sure that I could communicate well enough. Now. I'm good now. I'm good now. No. So we lived in Texas. You can understand and speak a little, you know, very, very little, but it's a different dialect. People speak a different Spanish here. You know, they cut words off and they speak very fast, and so it's different. After 6 years, I understand way more Spanish than I speak. If I've had some tequila shots, I speak more Spanish than I usually speak. So it just kind of depends on.
Right. No guarantee on the authenticity.
Well, I can get my point across a little better, but I do understand more than I speak now. Well, first of all, San Carlos is the city we live in, but we live in Vistamar.
Okay.
And Vistamar is a resort and a marina community, gated community, and it is amazing. I wouldn't have wanted to spend COVID any other place, to be honest, because, you know, Panama was very strict about what we could do and we could not do in 2020. We didn't ride in the car with each other for 6 months because women could go out on certain days, men on other days. Blah, you only had 2 hours. Blah blah blah. But we live on the 12th floor of one of the towers, and overlooking the 9th hole of the golf course. There's a marina, so we see sailboats and Beyonce type yachts come in all the time. And so we have the ocean there. We've got a beach club. It's an amazing community. It's the Boga Bar, yes. And it's kind of bougie, yes. It was built for North Americans. We have bathtubs, which a lot of places in Panama do not have bathtubs, right? So, but it was specifically designed for North Americans. Okay. And so it's really nice. And it's close enough to Coronado, which is the business hub of the beaches area, our banks, our grocery stores and stuff. But we don't have to deal with the traffic of high season or weekends and holidays that Coronado deals with.
City.
Yes, so now so the theater was nice enough to provide a apartment for me here in the city.
And walking distance.
And walking, I'm 4 doors down from the theater. They keep me close.
Right.
They keep me close. My husband said they've invested in their product, so they're making sure that you're comfortable. So yeah.
Yes.
So I am here in the city, and we were going back and forth every week, and that became a chore. He likes the beaches area. I like the beaches area too, but I'm kind of enjoying being in the city some. To me, it's the best of both worlds because I get to go to the beach and hang out at the beach and the quiet there. And then I have the hustle bustle of the city where there's lots of networking, lots of activities, people getting together, and lots more food options. And so I don't know what my expectations were specifically. I just knew I wanted to live by the beach. I do say that we thought we were going to live in a place where we had our local little beach bar that we go in and be like cheers, and that we'd walk in and they go like, "Hey, Mitchell and Karen," we could walk and we didn't have to have a car, and that we did kind of have that thought process, but that's not what we're living. There are places like that, like Petosi and Playa Banao, and but they're further away from the city. So I think we live a little more bougie than we thought. We thought we'd be able to downsize and downgrade in a way, I guess is the way to say it, so that we're living simpler, but we're still living like Americans living in a foreign country.
Okay.
Just to be honest, we could live more authentically as Panamanians in different areas. It'd be less expensive. So the cost of living, yes, is less. Where we paid probably more for rent than we paid for our house note once we left Austin. But we had a pretty decent, affordable house note. But it was the peripheral things that we were paying for that were more expensive. Car insurance, health insurance, eating and entertainment. And those are the things that were costing us more in the United States. Those don't cost us as much here in Panama. I pay $400 a year for car insurance. My health insurance is $200 a month. So it's those things that are less expensive, but depending on how you want to live in Panama, because you could get a place to live for $500 a month. They tell you, a family of two, a couple could live for $1,000 a month. That's including rent. Mm-hmm. It's just where you choose to live. And how. And we choose to live kind of like we got it going on. We like we live in large, and we're not, but we live in Panama, so we can afford to do what we couldn't do in the United States.
Why not?
Ooh, so that's kind of funny. So we moved into, I think everybody that goes out to the beaches area goes to Coronado Bay. That's the landing point. So you start there. And then we connected with someone referred a real estate agent to us. And I have found, because I did real estate for a little while, there's no multiple listing. So there's not like a list of properties available. You just got to run into somebody that knows some place. And so that's kind of what happened. We ran into somebody that introduced us to a real estate agent. And they only show you the properties that they know are available. And there's thousands of others available. There's so many empty buildings in Panama, first and foremost. And so we moved from Coronado Bay to Gorgona to Ocean Waves.
Okay.
And by the way, I was obsessed with House Hunters International. They did come and film us, and we did an episode of House Hunters International.
Nice.
Yeah. So we moved to Ocean Waves, which is where they filmed us. And while we were living, there was a cute apartment, very nice, kind of newish, very empty. Our discrepancy was I wanted an apartment, he wanted a house because he likes gardening, but I wanted a social network. But living in Ocean Waves, there was nobody there. There was probably 5 people that were there full time, and everybody would come weekends or, whatever. And so we began to look for other places to live. And we had been to Vistamar, but when we went to Vistamar the first time, the tide was out. Now, I don't know if people realize, but the tide comes in and out when you live in a beaches area. And that's everywhere in the world. But I had never seen it drastically move out and in like it does here in Panama. It goes a long way. So when we went to Vistamar the first time and the tide was out, you see the rocks. It's like, ooh, this is an ugly beach. It was nasty. This is not where, no, this is, yeah, what is all of it? It's rocks. And so we were like, no, this is not for us. But eventually we went back to Vistamar. The tide was in. It was a beautiful beach. It's a private beach. It's absolutely gorgeous. So the last day that they filmed us for the show, we had signed a lease and we were moving to Vistamar. So we moved the very next day after filming to Vistamar. But I have found that here you just have to know people. You have people in buildings, because I've referred Vistamar to other people because I know what apartments are available, who's leasing, who's owning, who's selling. And that happens as you network with people in the community, you find out what's available. And there are some real estate agents here, but like I said, they only know the properties that are listed within their own company.
You really need to have
And so when people say they want to move to Panama and they're going to sell their house and buy something, I'm coming to buy something. My recommendation, if you're watching this right now, the recommendation is you come, you live in a space, the community, the house even, or condo that you think you want to buy, because they can make them look real pretty and shiny on the front. And then you sit there for 3 months and the doors are coming off, you know, in the kitchen, or the stove doesn't work, or whatever, things happen. And then, or you find out during holidays that your neighbors come in and they like to party 24/7. And so then it's a thing. But so you really need to live in the space before you consider buying anything in Panama.
That's a good word.
The negative would be, I'm gonna start with the negative and then I'll go to the positive. So you know it's coming. The negative would be, I don't think they understand about trash management like they should. And I, did a lot of beach cleanup out in the beach area, and I think it's a cultural thing that they don't, when you're living with people that are having a difficult time just making ends meet, they do what they have to do to survive, and it's just, it is what it is. So there's more trash than there should be. The other thing would be, I lost my train of thought. It's trash and, customer service. So, being in the tourism industry where you go to places where tourism is king, they make sure that they go over and beyond to make sure that you come back. I believe my true feeling is because the canal is the #1 moneymaker in Panama. Tourism is a stepchild. It happens, but they're not putting a lot of effort into making it happen. It really doesn't matter to them. And so they have not educated their people. They have not educated Panamanians on the value of customer service, so that people will have an experience to make them come back over and over again. There is a little bit different in the city because you've got American hotels and European hotel companies that have properties here. So that's a different set of training skills that they give them. But the further you get away from the city, the least likely you are to have people that understand the concept of what customer service is about. The first example I have, when we first got here, we went to POPO, which is their Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's good too.
And it is. But we walked in there, and the two ladies behind the counter were having a conversation. There was nobody at the counter, so it was odd. You have a conversation with your coworker. They continued their conversation until they got finished with what they were talking about, whether we were standing there or not.
Wow.
And then they began, there was chicken, we ordered chicken, there was chicken, they had chicken, you could see the chicken, but they cooked new chicken before they would give us chicken that was sitting there in the heaters. They cooked new chicken. They didn't give us the new chicken, they gave us the chicken that had been sitting there, which they could have given us 10 minutes ago. So those are it's little things like that that, you know, kind of drive you crazy. I think most Americans and Canadians would say customer service is probably the thing that's the most lacking here. But good things. On the same note, you can be sitting in the doctor's office or in a space and everyone will walk in that's Panamanian and speak to everybody that's sitting in the office.
Yes.
They speak to everyone that is in that. On the street, they may not look you in the eye, but when you walk into a space, a business or office or someplace like that, everybody speaks the moment they walk in. I think that's fantastic. The other good thing is kids are not walking around with their phones stuck to their faces. They're not going through the grocery store or sitting in the carts as their parents are walking through the carts, walking through the stores on their phones, and the kids are sitting there playing video games or whatever as infants and children. So it's the basics. It's going back to the basics. Kids have respect for their elders. The culture itself has respect for its elders. One of the reasons we're here is the jubilado visa, which is the retirement visa, which allows us to get certain discounts after a certain age and
pretty sweet discounts.
It is, and when you walk into a bank, they got a line just for the old people, so you don't have to wait in that line if you don't want to. You know, sometimes I have a hard time because I'm always talking about I ain't that old, but then I got this line that I can go to, but ain't nobody in it. So I kind of feel like, okay, you know, I got my little card that says I'm an old person, but you know, so it's kind of weird. But they do respect their elders in this culture, and I appreciate that. And then I just like the fact that it's just simple. And maybe because I don't speak Spanish, I'm not caught up into the political side of things, you know, but just to know what's going on in the United States right now and how I can choose to deal with that when I want to, and I don't have to when I don't want to. Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. But Panama is a beautiful country. The people are beautiful. They tend to be very polite, and I'm just so grateful to be able to be here.
And the kids outside.
And even in the international schools out there in the Coronado area, you know, I've got friends that have children that are in the school systems. And the one thing they said when they brought their kids here is they come home dirty and tired every day. Because they're not just watching the experiment, they're living the experiment. Nice. So when they do a science experiment, they're doing it. They're getting their hands dirty. They're doing the things that they're learning, as opposed to it just being drummed in their head with lecture. And that's so important, because when we were kids, I grew up doing the experiments, and I remember making clouds. I was all into clouds, you know, and you made your clouds and the different types of clouds. And so it's just a simpler way of life, and going back to the basics, which is where I think we need to go, where our kids are concerned. So, like I said, they asked me to come to the Hilton, and the first show I did was Dinner in the Divas. He asked if I had a show that I wanted to create, and I've always had it in the back of my mind, if I were to ever do a show, I wanted to do a show where I highlighted the divas that I used to sing to by myself in the den when my parents were gone. Nancy Wilson, Dionne Warwick, Minnie Riperton, Roberta Flack, Barbara Streisand, those ladies. And so I created a show. It's a 2-hour show where it's just me. And they gave me some fabulous costumes. Oh my God. the first dress is just elegant, long, and I come out and I feel so like a diva when I walk out, and then I change into something that's short and sassy and sexy and really cute. But that was the first show, and I actually sold out. He added 20 more seats for my first show. We had buses coming from Coronado to see it.
Nice.
And so I've done that show twice. And so then he said, okay, if you were going to be someone in a show, who would you want to be? And immediately I said Tina Turner. Because I used to play manifestation. I used to play and say, when I grow up, I wanted to be like Tina Turner. And everybody always used to say, oh, you got Tina Turner legs, blah, 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 blah. So, I've become Karen Tina Turner Duncan.
Nice.
I do Tina Turner every Thursday and Friday in the variety show. And the first few times I did it, it was just me. Now we've added dancers. Now we're gonna have this coming Thursday, we're gonna have a costume change. And
Nice.
so she is. But let me tell you about Tina.
Okay.
Tina ain't no joke.
I'm sure.
See, first of all, I didn't sing till I got here, right? I could do a 2-hour show. That's all well and good. But Tina danced and sang.
Right.
It's hard to beat Tina. And the first few times I did, the first couple months I did Tina, by the time I left stage, I was out of breath. I'm still out of breath a lot of times, depending on how much I move. But it's just an honor. And what's really crazy for me with doing Tina is, like I said, I always said when I grew up I wanted to be like Tina, because I've always admired her perseverance through challenges in her life, overcoming Ike and starting her career again at 40-something years old. And now I'm getting to know her more on a spiritual level, because like I said, I'm a Chopra certified meditation instructor. And one of the things we do is choose a book. We have a little spiritual book club. And we choose a book to go through chapter by chapter, and we have discussions after meditation every week. And we're now reading Tina Turner's last book that she wrote in 2020, her spiritual book, because she was a devout Buddhist. And so I'm learning a lot about her from a spiritual perspective, and our lives have been paralleled. I've never had a husband that beat me. But just to know that you at any age can be and do who and what you want to do and be is encouraging. You know, I started singing at 59 years old. I'm 63 years old.
That's amazing.
And the fact that I have the health and the willpower to consistently keep moving toward the purpose that God has put me here for. She is my archetype. She is a person that I can aspire to be like and continue to be like, as long as my body and my mind allow, and emotions or anybody else lets me be. I just want to keep on moving from here. Keep on doing what I'm doing. So we're working on trying to do a one hour show for Tina. I do some Donna Summers as well. I'm just living my best life.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I believe this is one of the situations in life where you have to put fear aside, because it's scary. And just know it's scary because it's so different. But let your body tell you what's best for you. If you feel like it's so scary that you're going to be paralyzed, then don't do it. But if you have a little sense of adventure left in your life and you're willing to give it an opportunity, it's not like you can't ever go back home. They're not taking your passport. They're not telling you can't come back to the United States. But it's like going on vacation. Try it out, see how you feel. But it's to right now know that there are places in the world that are as good, if not better, than where you currently live. And we've got to find those spaces and times where we can do things that we've dreamed of. I mean, this is now or never. If you don't do it now, when will you ever do it? And so you really just got to step out on faith. Everybody says they living on faith. I believe, I believe. Well, how much do you believe? I'm challenging you to live in faith and do what it is that you say you want to do. And if you like your spouse, now we didn't talk about that. Because being with somebody 24/7 in a different country where you don't have people, you don't have your tribe,
Right.
can be challenging.
Right.
You got to really like each other.
Right.
Right? So don't come if you think it's like having a baby. Don't have a baby if you think that's going to be the thing that's going to save the marriage. It's not going to do it.
Definitely not.
Right.
Definitely not.
A lot of people break up. Absolutely do. But even as single women and men, there's a lot of single people here. So just step out on faith. Smile and jump.
There it is. All right, family, that's all the time we have for this thrilling episode of Real Expats of Panama. Wasn't this one amazing? Oh my God, Karen is so dynamic as an expat. You too can live like that. If you found some value in this show, please, please, please do us the honor of taking some time to like and subscribe so that we can help feed this information to some other people and help get them down here to start living their best lives too. And don't forget to visit our website, www.panamazingtours.com, to book your relocation tour, your excursions down here while in Panama, or just to book a consultation call to bounce your ideas about moving here off of Big Wheel. All right, until next time, ciao fam.